food rules causing you stress and holding you back? Esther Leveridge is here to share her expert strategies for staying plant-based and thriving through the season. You know, at age 72, Esther lost 130 pounds, and I would really love it if you all could please click like to help me be green with Amy. Welcome the author of From Donuts to Potatoes, Esther Leveridge. Welcome, Esther.
Good morning. Good morning. Nice to be
Oh, it is so nice. We've had quite a buzz about you. We always do. Every time we promote that you're coming on the show, people say, "Yay, Esther!" We're
here.
just always so happy that you're going to be on, and it's so nice to see you again. And we've talked about a lot of different things, including your weight loss journey, and we're going to show some pictures of that in a little bit because I always love to share your before and after pictures. And you've had quite a bit of experience in this lifestyle, right? You
Yes.
have had different exposures to different people who promote the lifestyle. You actually are personal friends with a few of the people where you live, right?
Yes.
Like Chef AJ and I think Tammy Kramer and a few other people that have adopted this lifestyle and learned about it. And so you've received a lot of information from them, and they've received a lot of information. Of course, we're friends too, and I
Yeah.
share things with you that I learned. So now you've been doing this for such a long time and you've had success. But you, like me, we understand that there's sometimes even conflicting information out there. And as humans, when we get a lot of information, especially if it's conflicting information, sometimes we just shut down. We're just like, you know what? I don't know what to do, so I'm just not going to do anything, right? And that's a shame because we do know, you and I, with our experience from people that we talk to, and also from our personal experience, that adopting a whole food plant exclusive lifestyle is health promoting. It can help with weight loss and so many other things. And isn't it a shame if somebody would shut down just because they don't know what to do? They get analysis paralysis, and all this information is just coming in, or they become fearful. Maybe I should do that. Well, this person says I should do this. This person says I shouldn't do the same very thing that expert said I should do. And what do I do? So you've been through this, and you've also done some experiments on yourself with things that you chose to eat, and you've taken on days and weeks and months trying to do one thing or another and just seeing how it affects you. But overall, I think one thing that I really love is that you always say, this is just what I do, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes. Yeah, we're each an experiment of one.
mhm. Yeah.
Uh,
So you're saying the things that you do and you choose to do, not necessarily of anything that you would want to tell somebody else to do. Don't
no,
do it just because you do it, right?
right. My mother had a cousin, and she was old, probably my age when I first met her.
I think old is 10 years older than whatever age you are.
Oh, okay.
At least 10 years older.
I don't know if she'd reached her 90s yet, but she she was a wise woman, and I was asking her a question one time, and her answer was, "I never thought it was my place to tell someone else how to live their life."
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And I think that's so true because we're all on our own life journey. And I affirm over and over again when I do something that some people think's off the wall or not rational or not repeatable or whatever. This is just my journey and my opportunity to be my own lab and my own experimenter. And I don't experiment with drugs and I don't experiment with toxic things in my body, but I do kind of take a different pathway once in a while and test it out. And when it works for me, I just really feel like I'm being directed in that area. And if I do something that doesn't work out well, then I have learned that and I can own that. It's not because somebody else said blah, blah, blah. It's because I have experienced it. So when we talk about mistakes that we've made in the past, they aren't mistakes if they led us to a better pathway. They're teachers. And so we need to let go of any guilt we've had from any mistake that we now know better about and just let that go, because without that mistake, we probably wouldn't be where we are now.
Yeah, I like that. They aren't mistakes if they led us to a better pathway. Very nice. Yeah, and you have, and we're going to talk about that later, but you have a Facebook group called Esther's Nutritional Journey, and every day, wow, you post pictures of everything that you eat.
That's
And
right.
there, right, and there again, it's something that you're doing for yourself, and you're not necessarily telling people this is the right way or the wrong way or whatever. This is just
No.
what you're doing.
Yeah, I never say follow me,
Hmm.
because you need to follow your own inner guide. And I just show what I eat every day, not to show you how you should eat, but to be accountable for what has worked for me and what I do. It's just me having my own experiment of one. And it keeps me accountable, because sometimes Ben will say, "Do you want a taste of this?" And I say, "No," because then I have to take a picture and have to put it on my Facebook. It's not worth the effort. So
Hmm.
it's just, and it really has helped me stay accountable, because many times I'll say, "No, if I have to take a picture of that and bother with that," and then people are going to say, "Oh, what is that? That looks delicious." And then you've got to explain what's in it. So
Hmm.
it's here, if something looks questionable, it's probably best not to eat it. You know,
Yeah, there you go. That's
yeah,
that.
you can look at my potatoes and look at my carrots, and and I don't eat very many recipes now. And
Mhm,
at the beginning, there were some, but not a whole lot. But now, when you see the plate of food that I eat, almost everything is identifiable,
mhm. Yeah.
unless I'm eating something you haven't eaten before. Like this last week, I had a persimmon, and someone had never had a persimmon before, so they said, "What's that?" And I
Mm.
explained that. But it's not like a stew where all these ingredients are mixed up and you don't know what's there. So I eat very plainly, but it works for me and it tastes delicious to me.
Yeah, because I have clients that I coach, and with depending on how I'm coaching them, some of them actually will send me pictures, look just like you do. They'll send me pictures of everything they eat, and when they have some kind of a stew, I say, okay, got to tell me what's in there, because I could be making a difference for you, for that particular individual, what we know, what works. And it also just helps for accountability too, because, they know that they're going to have to tell me everything that's in there. So they're going to want to be careful with that. So I
Sure.
wanted to just play our game of true or false, and we're just going to have one question today. So let's do that.
It's time for True or False on Be Green with Amy Live. Answer true or false to Amy's questions in the comments below, and Amy will ask our guest for the expert answer.
Okay, Green Warrior. Here's one to open up the conversation. True or false? It's important to follow every piece of advice you hear about the whole food plant-based lifestyle to be successful. So what do you think, Green Warriors? You can type in what you think the answer is. And Esther, what do you think?
A big false. There are lots of oil, what do they call them? Oil salesmen, or a lot of people are out there with maybe good intentions, but maybe with proven work, and it can be very confusing to follow everyone's guidelines. So my advice in the beginning was pick one teacher, and one that your heart and your body resonates with, and it feels like it's true for you. Try that with just one person, and then if it doesn't work, then you can alter that or add to or subtract from. But trying to listen to all these different things um, uh, just is very confusing. Like you said, I in fact I wrote down in my notebook, analysis paralysis. That's
Mm,
a great saying, because you can gather so much information and be overloaded, and then you don't know what to do. So you throw in the towel and say, "Well, I just can't do this." But and everybody is it has a different personality and a different way of handling stress. And so you have to pick what you can work with. And I do like what Dr. Dean Ornish or his wife said, what are you willing to do? Because some of these doctors set the bar very high. And maybe you're not motivated enough to do all of what that person says, to follow that plan. Maybe the best thing you can do is drink an extra glass of water a day. Maybe that's all you at this point are willing to do. Well, then do that,
Yeah.
or if you're willing to cut out oil. For me, one of the early rules I established for myself, which I think I've kept 99.9% of the time, is that I don't drink calories. So that eliminates alcohol, that eliminates coffee, that eliminates tea. Well, no, tea, I think there are some herbal teas I've had probably once or twice without sugar that would be okay. But in general, I just drink water. And and once I said in my beginner's manual, you can have it hot, you can have it cold, you can have it lukewarm,
Yeah.
you can have it with lemon if you want. You could slice up some vegetables and put it in it. But basically, I found that to be a good rule for me, was not to drink calories.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a really good rule. And that's what we're talking about today, is these rules that other people are maybe professing that you should follow, but you, like you said, and I agree, that you have to find out what works best for you. And also, even our bodies, for some people, they can't tolerate certain things, even if they really wanted to, they just can't. And that doesn't make you a failure, because all of our bodies react differently to things. So, that's something that you should definitely keep in mind as well. And I wanted to, let me just, oh, okay. I thought I had somebody that said something there, but it was somebody gave you a heart. Oh, isn't that nice? Oh, that's nice. So I wanted to ask the Green Warriors, what is your biggest challenge when you are looking into these things about this plant-based lifestyle? What are the things that you are facing that you're confused about, and sometimes it makes you want to give up, or you're just very confused about it? Yeah. What are you confused about? Tell us in the comments if you like. You can talk to us about that. And I wanted to ask, so did you personally have any conflicting information about the lifestyle that you struggled with at first, Esther?
No, because I had never heard about being vegan or whole food or vegetarian. I didn't know anything about it. And I was desperate. And I only had basically one source. And that was when my friend Nora gave me the John McDougall book, the McDougall Program for Maximum Weight Loss. So I decided that was going to be my experiment. So I just followed that book. So that was my sole source. So
Mm,
have conflicting information because I wanted it to be a test to see if it worked. And I knew if I deviated from what he said, then I would be invalidating the experiment.
yeah.
So I didn't. It wasn't until much later that when people started talking about eating raw or drinking smoothies or certain specific foods you should have every day, that led me to consider what they were saying. But for me, um, I found it worked. I got rid of all my medication. All the wonderful things that happened to me by following that. So there wasn't much temptation to try to do something else. I just really have stuck with that. And I still basically eat that way. I don't eat, I've made some modifications, but I don't have any rules about, I guess one guide, I would prefer to call it a guideline rather than a rule, is Dr. McDougall said that we can actually get too much protein as we get older. And he advised limiting beans to, on average, 1 cup a day, because it would be easy for me to eat 3 cups a day.
Yeah.
I could do it. So I don't call that so much a rule, like if you because it's on average. So there might be weeks where I don't eat any beans at all. So, but I don't ever sit down and eat 3 bowls either. But I think I like to think of those as guidelines or suggestions from an expert rather than a rule.
Yeah. So Anne said that I'm having problems giving up cravings. Oh, yeah. A lot of people are struggling with that.
Well, you struggle as long as you dabble.
There you go. That's it, right there. It could be a long explanation and lots of advice, but when it all comes down to it, you struggle as long as you dabble. That's it. And that's the I've had clients that they were doing so great, and then especially if a holiday came along, and especially if they were, you know, in an office situation or something where people were bringing in treats, then they had problems with that, after not doing it for a while. So that's the thing. I think, to me, I think you have to define yourself as I am a person that does this, and I'm a person that doesn't do that. But yeah,
food has been the legal band-aid for many emotional issues that we face. And there's lots of stress in life. People are facing financial hardships. People are facing marital problems. People are facing employment. And we've had COVID that we've all gone through where we couldn't be together. There's lots of stressors out there. And so it's what I have learned that has helped me. It's not even how much I eat or how often I eat. It's what I eat. So that's where my rule comes from, is being true and consistent with what I eat. Now, some people say, oh, you shouldn't eat after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Some people say, oh, you shouldn't eat, 2 or 3 hours before bedtime. And people say, oh, you should drink 8 glasses of water a day. So there's all these rules out there that people throw out, perhaps to identify a specific program. I don't know. But everybody has their own ideas. And I could say my rules too. But my rule for myself is, as long as I eat a whole food, plant-based product, or not even a product, but an item that is as grown. Now, I don't mean something out of a can, and I don't mean something that's not been prepared outside the home. But as long as I eat my simple, plain food, for me, I allow myself to eat anytime I want, even if it's midnight, because it doesn't happen every day. But if I feel like I'm just still hungry or not satisfied, or even if I've got an emotional issue going on, it doesn't hurt me to eat another potato. What would hurt me is to jump into a bowl of ice cream.
Oh, yeah. And we all have different things, right? There's some people that, the savory things is where they go for, or things like cheese and things, and other people are with the sweets. And yeah, absolutely. And even like you're talking about, even if you're on this whole food plant-based lifestyle, you still could go into things that might not be good for you if you overindulge.
Yes.
So,
It's for instance, lately or recently, I had kind of a pain in my hip. And I thought, well, have I introduced anything into my body that I haven't been eating? And for me, I decided that I'm going to eliminate tofu, because sometimes we eat out in vegan Chinese restaurants, and they put tofu in everything, and it's high in fat, and it's not grown. I mean, it's not a real food. And so this last week, when we went to that same restaurant, I just took my thermos of water and I ate before I went.
yeah.
And for the fellowship and the conversation, because I really don't like anything at that restaurant. There's really, well, there's one thing I like, but I don't think it's the best for me, and that's those spring rolls.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're wrapped in that rice paper, and then they've got a peanut sauce that that kind of lights you up. That tastes good, but it's not really sustenance food. I need my starch, not my dress.
Yeah, that's very true. And I because of that, I rarely do eat out in restaurants, because more and more the food isn't it's not satisfying. And I know after I eat it, if I am out in a restaurant, even if I try and order something that seems like it would be something that would go with the lifestyle that I am have created for myself, I won't feel well later.
Mm.
And I think that the less you, it's, I think I always kind of talk about, if somebody was a cigarette smoker and they would be in a room full of people with cigarette smoke and they wouldn't even think anything of it, then they quit, and then all of a sudden they smell some cigarette smoke off in the distance and they're like, oh, this is awful. So our bodies, we adapt to these things, and even if they're not healthy for us, our bodies aren't always giving us blaring signals that they're unhealthy until we've gone without them, and then we can see that it really isn't good for us.
And isn't it interesting how if you were a smoker and you quit, or if you were a drinker and you quit, those that community of people would probably resent it a little bit that you're moving on beyond where they are, but they would understand. But try to go to a potluck and eat nothing. That's a challenge because there again, oh, well, this is all whole food. This is all plant-based. This is
Yeah.
all wonderful. But I feel wonderful when I go to a potluck and eat nothing
Hmm.
because there's just, I don't think we need that much variety in one day on our plate.
Yeah.
Now, it's just something I've thought of more recently, but it's just so opulent. It's just so much. And then you want to try it all. And then because it's compliant, it's easy to think, oh, it's okay to eat it all. And you don't need that much food.
Yeah.
At least I don't.
Yeah.
So I'm still learning, you see, and that's the exciting part about it is that I get to be me. I get to be me. And if that's, and the other thing, like I've been talking to Ben about lately, is it's so easy to violate ourselves to please somebody else. For instance, right after Christmas, we were invited to someone's home for dinner, and she's vegan part time, but other times not. And we were going with my cousin and his partner, and I know they live a very nice lifestyle. They probably had 13 different kind of wines to choose from, and of course I drink more water. But anyway, I was almost thinking of fasting that day because I thought that would be the easiest way
Yeah.
out of the trap. And then when I got there, and then she said, "Well, I've prepared all this food, and I made 2 vegan items for you and Ben." And I let that
Hmm.
affect me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, and she's just such a wonderful person anyway. And so what she had done is she had made some mashed potatoes and put some cabbage in it. I think it's kind of an Irish dish. And then she made vegan chili to put on. And then she had all the other things there too. But I just took those 2 items and I had one serving. And my solution was I ate very slowly
Ah.
because the others had a lot of things to eat and I didn't want to sit there, looking stupid. So I just took small little bites and enjoyed it. But even with that, I just didn't really feel that good afterwards. And mostly, I didn't feel good to myself because I thought, why did my love and concern for her override what my intention had been for the day?
Yeah.
And so then after that, we, with my same company, they were here for 6 days. We went to a Chinese restaurant, and the other 7 people were not vegetarians or vegan. And they were ordering off the menu like crazy. It was going to be all for the table, and everything was fried, and there was shrimp, and there was crab, and there was pork, and all this stuff. So my solution there, which did work well for me, is I ordered a bowl of vegan hot and sour soup. And so then that just came to me.
Yeah.
And if somebody wanted to taste what I had ordered, we got little cups so they could taste that too. But
Yeah.
I didn't worry about what to take off the dinner table, So I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to handle these awkward, socially pressure times.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. It's like being a preschool in a new environment. But I think the key is to know yourself and to know that pleasing somebody else is not worth violating your own body.
Yeah, it really isn't, but it can be difficult. I've listened to Dr. Doug Lyle lecture about getting along without going along, and he supposes that in ancient times before electricity and things like that, that we were in tribes, and that as a human, it's really difficult to survive on your own because there's so many things that you depend upon other people to help you to find food and to look out for danger and to maybe help build some kind of shelter or something. And so if you didn't get along with the rest of the tribe, and if they shunned you, you could probably perish. And it seems that he thinks that in our primitive brain is saying, do whatever the crowd's doing because you don't want to perish. You need their support and you need their approval, even if it's something that you know intelligently know that it's going to harm you. So, I mean, you think of all these weird tribal rituals that even to this day, that there are places that, women have total body tattoos done to them when they're 16, and the whole tribe, women go and do that to the other women. And it's a, painful procedure. But these are the things that they do just so that they can get along and be accepted. And I know that we're probably aware of other things that are even worse than that I don't want to talk about, but these are things that they do. So I think that may help, at least for you, meaning our green warriors that are watching, to have some compassion for yourself when it's such a struggle that you really want to do what everybody else is doing or trying to get you to do, and even though in your mind you know that it's going to be deleterious to your health, or it's going to get you off your track of what you're trying to do, that it's such a struggle. And
Yes.
yeah,
It shows the intensity of belonging.
yeah,
And sometimes we have to choose a different group to belong to, or at least until we mature enough and have enough wisdom to say, um, to love yourself. And it sounds selfish to say love yourself, but if you don't protect your own health, nobody else can. And,
no, yes,
and it comes with strength, it comes with experience. And I think it also comes with not expecting us in this lifetime to be perfect. Not to give that, I don't mean that gives you license to not care or not grow and mature, but to know that we're all here learning. This whole life is just a school of hard knocks, or whatever you want to call it, but we're here to learn, and we sometimes learn slowly, and sometimes a disaster hits, or a crisis, like with me, with my knees. I mean, I weighed 257, and I had weighed 282, and my threat was not my health. I didn't see myself as sick. I mean, I was just 72 years old, and I had conditions, but I accepted that as being normal for my age. But I'll tell you, when I saw the light and I saw that there was another way of being, and I decided to follow that, it gave me such freedom. I mean, I just feel so good now, and it has helped me psychologically as well, because when you feel empowered, and there's so many things in the world I can't control, but what I can control is what I put in my mouth, and that's my job.
yeah. That's a very good way.
So for me, it was the fear or the threat of not being able to travel, because we still had trips planned and we wanted to travel. But if I couldn't walk, that was my wake up call. And we all, it'd be wonderful if we could learn from each other sooner and younger, but sometimes we just don't until something hits us over the head and we say, oh, okay, I need to really think about this.
So I wanted to ask the Green Warriors, what's one thing you wish you knew when you first started your whole food plant-based journey? So tell us about that in the comments. And Esther, do you have something you wish you knew?
Well, I kind of don't like to glorify regrets. So I just take the idea that I know what I know when I'm supposed to know it. So instead of feeling bad that I didn't know this back then, I just say it wasn't the time.
Yeah.
So, but if I get into that space, yeah, I guess I would have liked to have known how toxic oil is. I would like to have known that we could get protein from our plants and that we didn't have to have it from animals. And I guess I would have liked to have awoken sooner and realized that what a sugar and fat addiction I had, because I never put it in those terms. I was in denial that I had an addiction because they were addictions that most people suffer from. So they become so normalized that I didn't realize that I was addicted, you know. I mean, starting early in my life, I'd go find a Coke bottle for 3 cents and turn in the store and get 3 penny candies. You know, it started way back early. But for many years, it took many years for the cumulative effect to wake me up. We can get along for a long time, mistreating our bodies. You know, our bodies are strong. They want to be well. They want to heal. But at some point, they say, "I've had enough."
Yeah, there's so many things that I wish that I knew. I think for me, I wish I knew when I was raising my children at home. I think that's what I wish I knew. Because
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't. I thought that I was doing right by them for the information that I had at the time, and I still think that I did. Compared to what their friends, a lot of their friends were having as far as being fed. So I still think that that was okay, but I wish I would have known more about it. But then, it's like you said, it's sometimes the information that you have at the moment, that's what you need. And who knows, that could have altered all kinds of things in a way that I wouldn't have anticipated.
yeah. And guilt doesn't do anything because you can't go back and fix it. Like, yes, I feel sad now that when my children were young, I gave them bacon and hot dogs and macaroni and cheese dinners, when I was struggling to survive. And I realize now that my conditioning got passed on to the next generation, and still it's going on to the third and fourth generation, the things I didn't know. So although I can't go back and fix that, I do see the need to be as clean and hopefully helpful as I can. And this is maybe why I do what I do, is because anybody who's younger than me, if they if anything I say or you say resonates with them, then we can turn the tide. Maybe not with our own children, but with future generations, to spread the word, because it's a small minority that have learned the importance of eating plants, but I think that movement is growing.
Oh yes, it is, and things are definitely going to have to change, even
Yeah.
even for those that aren't interested in this lifestyle. They're going to have to deal with the changes, because our world will not be able to keep up with the food production in the way that it is happening at this time because of our growing population. I did want to mention to our Green Warriors that Esther wrote this lovely book, From Donuts to Potatoes, and and she's going to probably try to read an excerpt from it later on, because I usually ask her at the end of the broadcast to do that. But Esther has donated a copy of this and she has done this in the past too, but she's donated another copy for a book giveaway. And in the show notes, in the description, I'm going to give you a link so that if you want to sign up to have a chance to win this book, you can do so. And whoever in a later broadcast will be picking the winner from our spin the wheel, and then we'll get that winner's information, and Esther will send out that book to you. It is a wonderful book, and if you're finding that you're getting a lot of great advice and things to think about today, that's what that book is, just filled with all kinds of wonderful things. And Esther is going to talk to us more later on about what the book is about, so that you can have an idea about that. So now, one of the things, I mean, we're talking about rules, right? But there are some rules that both of us would probably agree that people should adhere to on this lifestyle, even if and probably wouldn't hear too much conflicting information about it. So is there anything that you yourself are thinking about that you would tell someone, if they're all confused from different things that they're hearing, but make sure you do this?
Oh, that's really hard because one of my other rules is not to tell anybody else what they should do. But what I can tell you is what rules are mine.
Okay,
Some
there you
rules that I have adapted, and that's that I eat no animal dairy or oil. That seems to be the baseline for most people who have adopted a whole food plant-based diet. And then from there, I drink water when I'm thirsty. I sometimes think it might be helpful if I drank more, but the evidence in the toilet is that my urine is very light, and so I eat so many vegetables that I don't have a rule about how many ounces of water. So I'm really kind of an outlier. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of rules anymore. I don't have to clean up my plate. If I take a picture of my food and I'm really satisfied halfway through, then a new idea I have is why not stop and save that food for, say, 2 hours later and see if I'm still hungry. But for a long time, I did feel like I had to clean my plate because I took a picture of it and posted it. So I've changed that rule to if I am full and satisfied, I can wait and I'll still finish the plate eventually, but I don't have to do it all at one time. And then, I don't worry about, there's just not much I worry about anymore. There's too many big problems in life to worry about. And I don't worry about quantities, and I just try to listen to my body. I guess that would be a rule you could say, is listen to your body and be truthful to yourself. I don't worry about breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Um, Lately, I've been doing a little more fasting, but I don't worry about certain rules or certain timetables. I just think there's benefits to giving our body a rest. So I really don't have very many rules, except, I have had that one about not drinking calories. That's been on my idea for a long time. That's not to say that I disagree with people who are reversing diseases by drinking smoothies that are full of nutrients. So, but I've not been a smoothie person, but I think there's advantages to that for people who have, say, like Brooke Goldner, her protocol. I
go.
have no argument with her. I just haven't gone that way. It's a little bit more severe, but severe diseases call for severe action if we
Oh,
want to get down to the cellular level. I don't eat bread. I don't eat pasta. There's a lot of things I don't eat, but it's not a rule. I think the fewer the rules, the happier we are, because the more rules we set up, the more chance there is for failure. And then you have to bring in forgiveness because you broke the rule, right?
yeah.
So when you're wanting to set a rule for yourself, like for me, it's an unwritten rule, but I do write a word every day for my Facebook group. I do a video every day. Am I compulsive, obsessive about that? No, it's just what I do. If something came up, it would be a little difficult for me not to do that, but I could. It's not like the earth's going to fall apart if I don't,
Yeah.
So, and do you brush your teeth 3 times a day? There's so many rules that people have that make life even harder than if you could just focus on what is the best thing in this moment for me to do and how I'm going to handle the situation, and maybe see how many rules you don't have to have.
Mm. Yeah. Yep. That's a lot of wisdom there. Thanks. Greetings. Thanks. Said, I resonate with the clean plate. With clean the plate, great realization. Yeah.
Yeah. And even, oh, it's just so simple the way life is for me now. I don't have this parent thing in my head telling me what to do.
How
And
long did that take?
oh, a long time, because we have these voices. Well, you have to have 3 meals a day. Well, you have to have breakfast be your biggest meal, and then your lunchtime meal light, and then your dinner should be really light, if at all. And you've got all these people with their own admonitions. but when it really comes down to it, people are going to do what they want to do. So choose wants that make you feel healthier and happier, and be kind to yourself. All these rules can, there's rules like we live in a neighborhood where it seems like very few people stop for the stop sign. Okay. Now that's a law. You're supposed to stop at a stop sign.
Mm-hmm.
But so many just cruise on through, because there's no cop here, there's no camera, and people think they can get away with it. And that's how we are with our food. If nobody's watching, if it's in our environment, we can talk ourselves into saying, well, I can eat this and nobody's going to be watching and nobody's going to know. And we play our own Russian roulette. But I think self-honesty and realizing, in fact, this is what Ben and I have been talking about lately. I'm not the boss of him and he's not the boss of me. And I love what Wayne Dyer says. What other people think of me is none of my business.
Mm.
And that's a big step. I mean, I'm 81 now and really learning that even more, So if I go to a restaurant, Ben used to be upset if I went and didn't order something because he thought that was not right. Well, that's his rule,
Mm-hmm.
and he has no right to put that rule on me. I'm
Yeah.
not an extension of him. I'm not a reflection of him unless he thinks I am. And so, to grow up and be your own person is such an evolutionary place to be. And if you don't like what I say, it's okay. I'm not in this world to make money. I don't care if you like my book or you don't. I don't care if you like my daily word or not. I don't care if you like I'm not in it for material gain. I'm doing it mostly for me.
Yeah, that's so true. And yeah, I mean, when you're living with someone, a spouse or roommate or what have you, we have enough rules that we're putting on ourselves, and now it's sometimes without realizing it, we are putting rules on them. But then, I mean, it almost sounded like Ben was going through what we were talking about earlier, where acceptance from the tribe, where
Yeah.
he felt that you were an extension of him and not necessarily that he wanted you to order something, but he didn't want to have someone think that there was somebody at his table that he was with that wasn't ordering.
It's
You
kind
know?
of like not smoking or not ordering a drink.
That's
Well, at
right.
least order a pretend drink, you know.
Yes. Yeah. And there you go again. People are ordering pretend drinks just
Mhm.
because they just feel that it's so much pressure to
Yeah.
do what the tribe is expecting of them to do. You know.
And I was guilty of it at first too, because Ben, when we first started, he said, "Oh, I could never eat like you," and I said, "That's okay. You just do your own thing." And those were my words, but my intention in my heart, of course, I wanted him to be healthy. And I remember the thing I used to pressure him most about: you need to drink more water. You need to drink more water. And then we kind of came to the conclusion that our tap water didn't taste that good, and so we started buying pure water. And even though it's in a plastic container, that's another rule I don't worry that much about. But anyway, and now he does drink more, but it's on his own. And one thing I did learn from Weight Watchers was keep your eyes on your own plate. The minute we start looking at our family and being judgmental, I mean, that's sending out all kinds of negative vibes to them as a person and people. So this year for Christmas, it was so nice. We went to my son's house after they had had their meal because he prepared all the wonderful things I had done traditionally. I implanted that into I trained him
Yeah.
how to make the ham and cheese muffins on English muffin, and I trained him how to make the rice check mix, with all the butter and stuff. And that's not a real bad thing, but it is butter and it is all the seasoning and so forth. And then I forget what else. I don't know if he made the fudge and the other thing, but see, I set that example. That was family tradition. And so now he's still wanting to do what his kids like too. And so by going after they had had their meal, we had a wonderful visit, just wonderful. And it didn't have to center around food.
Yeah. It's so true. But it almost seems like a lot of socializing does center around food, and that can be something that's difficult to navigate for a lot of people. I knew a couple that loved traveling, and they would actually plan their trips around what what the restaurants and food was going to be. So they would first find the restaurants and food that they wanted, and then they would find the hotels and things that were within uh, close by or whatever, so that
Yeah.
they could do that. And it can be a really big thing where, I mean, you're back years ago, people didn't food wasn't as accessible, so people didn't go out to eat. If they went out to eat, it would be a big treat, because there wasn't that much delivery either. So, I think it was just a way of people, I guess people, but they would gather as a family instead of sitting on the couch in front of the TV and not talking to each other. They would use that as a time of gathering. So I can see how there would be some social connection and feelings about sharing food with people. Yeah.
Yeah. I know I used to answer people when they asked me where a certain business was. I'd say, well, it's right around the corner from C's, or it's down the street from the restaurant. And everything, my focus was on where these restaurants had been. And that's how I would direct them to where
Yeah.
they want to go for other reasons, But, and even now, sometimes there's so many family restaurants that have gone out of business. There's many chains now. But
Yeah.
when we think about all the restaurants we used to go, we talk about them and I think, oh my goodness. In fact, this week I was even playing, I used to make videos of our cruises and our trips and add music to it. So instead of watching TV, we started watching some of these videos I'd made. And when I see pictures of the food now, I go, oh, yuck, we ate that, This was years ago. And it's just like, oh, how could we? How could we? But until you experience a new life, you experience joy, you experience freedom from that addiction, there's nothing as high as this.
Oh,
Just nothing as high as this.
yeah, you're absolutely right. So I wanted to pass that question on to the Green Warriors. How do you handle moments when you feel tempted to go back to old habits or rules? And it may not even have anything to do with this lifestyle that we've adopted, right? It could be to other things as well. But how do you handle that? And do you have any advice as far as that goes, Esther?
Yes, I think, if you can get honest with yourself and know your limits, and if you have not had any success going to certain events where you always fall into that trap, then you have to decide, are you going to struggle or dabble?
Yep,
Because
there you go.
if you know yourself, if like Ben used to like to go to horse races, and he would love to study the heritage behind the horses. And he says past performance is a good predictor of the future.
Mm,
And it doesn't mean that you will always fail, but look at your past performance. And if you're not at the place yet where you can succeed, why put yourself back into that situation?
yeah,
Unless you're going to self-sabotage. And if you want to do that, you'll find a way.
yeah,
If you
that's
really want to heal, and if you really believe that this lifestyle can heal you and give you advantages in so many areas, spiritually, physically, mentally, because when we're violating our own bodies and our own selves, we feel miserable. We feel miserable because we've let ourselves down. We feel miserable because the food has affected our bodies. We don't feel good. And we just don't know the way out. And it's a hard way out. It's hard in this world with all of our social interactions. It's not an easy pathway. And that's why I say if you can just choose little steps at first and build your success and say, you know what, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. And don't expect to be where some of us are right away. It just everybody wakes up at different times, and just trust yourself and love yourself to be good to yourself. And even when you fail, and like someone said to me one time, oh, my shoulder's bothering me. Oh, I've got this low shoulder. I said, well, what about the other one?
Yeah.
They said, oh, that's fine. I said, well, why don't we talk about that one? And
Yeah.
so, and when parts of our bodies are working well, why don't we give thanks for that and say, you know what, my legs still work. I can walk, my feet still work. I don't have neuropathy. My heart's still beating. I'm still breathing. My lungs are working. But it's so easy to collect disease. It's so easy to collect prescriptions. It's so easy to collect doctors and go round and round and round the mulberry bush till you don't know which way to turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Barbara said, amen. Brilliant, Esther.
Well, we give a lot of power to the doctors, and if the doctors are under the authority of the corporation for which they work, they don't have free speech.
No, no, they don't. You're right
They
about
don't. So take that into consideration that when you go to the doctor, they're parrots of their parent corporation. They don't have some will risk giving you some advice, but some, if you mention nutrition as a possibility, they will roll their eyes. And yet we keep going back to the doctors in the white coat, and why don't we just take time in the silence to think about the path we want to take?
that. Yeah, I love that. So Melissa said, how do you decide which supplements are really necessary on a plant-based diet? Well, there's a bunch of rules that we hear about and sometimes conflicting
Yeah.
rules. So
Well, I believe Dr. McDougall, and he said all we need is vitamin B12. So that's all I take. I don't need any man-made supplements when I can eat the vegetables itself. I mean, all the supplements are made from vegetables or whatever. And I don't need an easy pathway. I just eat all my vegetables, the ones I like, and eat a lot of them. And I just trust that is going to be all I need. He said, eat or starchivores. He said, eat potatoes or rice or corn or beans. That's the staple for all people. And throw in a few vegetables. It's that simple.
mhm. Yeah.
It's
Now,
so
we're
simple.
not giving out medical advice here, right? This
No,
is
this,
what you
this,
choose to do.
this is
That doesn't
what
mean
I
that,
read and what I do and what worked
yeah,
for me.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just repeating his advice.
Mhm.
And
So
that's
talking about the B12 for you, do you ever get tested to see what your levels are, or you just take
yeah,
the dosage that he recommended?
once a week is good enough for me.
Hmm. Yeah.
If I die, I die. I don't think I'm going to die from lack of B12. I'm just not worried about dying. And that's another thing we should talk about sometime is how much fear dominates our thinking. And faith and fear just don't mix together. Just like
Mm,
oil and water. You can't be afraid and have faith that you're following your own right pathway. Whatever it is, I'm not saying it has to be my pathway either. But I just know that fear is really a cancer multiplying agent,
yeah.
as is stress.
Yeah.
So food isn't the only answer. We need to also take care of the whole body, mind, and soul, and make sure that we get some fresh air and that we get some fresh water and that we have friends and that we have a good time and that we are peaceful in our hearts. You can eat all the right food, and if you're anxious or nervous, you could still have dis-ease,
Hmm. Yeah.
whether it manifests physically or not.
Yeah. That is so true. I think we have another question. Let's see. Find it in a second. Hey, let's just see what this is. Oh, Barbara said, love that. Faith and fear don't fit together. She's just going to take all of your quotes, and they're all so awesome. So, okay, I think I saw one from Lisa. Give me a second. Let's see. Yes, okay. Lisa wanted to know, do you include nuts and seeds in your meals, and how do you manage portions?
Okay. In the beginning, as I say, I followed Dr. McDougall's Maximum Weight Loss book. For that program, he had us eliminate avocado, nuts, seeds, soy, and flour, and of course, alcohol. But there are some high fat foods that are healthy for healthy people, but not when you want the maximum weight loss. In his starch solution program, it was more lenient. but I followed the maximum because I was desperate. So in that program, no, I would say I did not, I did not include that. Then last January, a year ago, I decided to do the Daniel's fast, which was vegetables and water, just to kind of clean up um, my body a little bit more. And so I did not eat nuts. And I really still haven't. And this is what, January the next year. But somewhere along the line, I lost more weight than whoever dreamed you'd have that problem, right? But 127, when I weighed 127, that was after I lost the weight. I was at 127, and that was where I had lost 130 pounds. So when I went on the Daniel's fast, I went down to about 117, 116. And I thought, okay, that's interesting to see that had that impact. But then I decided I decided that I didn't need to be that low. And so I added peanuts to my diet because it's not in the nut category. It's in a legume category. So that kind of, in my psychological way of thinking, I thought, well, okay, I'm still not eating seeds, eating nuts, but I could eat peanuts. And then by not including nuts, that didn't open up cashews and pecans and all the other ones that I would be tempted to. So just sticking to the peanuts was working for me. And I also added beans because I probably for at least 6 months, I wasn't eating beans. I was eating just my potatoes and vegetables, some cooked, some raw. And then people in my group, because they watch what I eat, they say, oh, you're not eating fruit. Well, then I said, well, let's redefine fruit. So I realized by reading a little bit that squash is a fruit, and I even ate the seeds in the squash because I eat the whole food. And I realized that cucumbers are fruit of the vine. And what else did I include? Anyway, I started eating, even peppers, they're fruit of the vine. So I rationalized eating that because they are such lower glycemic index, or they have so much less sugar than tree fruit. So it was a long time before I ate any tree fruit.
Mm.
In fact, I have a pomegranate tree, and last October I only ate one, the whole thing. So, it's just a learning process. But I will tell you this, when I eliminated tree fruit, I got over my sugar addiction. And that's my personal story. Later on, I started eating blueberries and eating strawberries because they were fruit of the vine.
Yeah.
Someone said that evolutionary wise, the tree fruit has gotten far sweeter than it ever used to be. And I didn't know that. And there are fruitarians who have good success in their lifestyle. So I'm not debunking that. I'm just saying that my personal experience is that when I quit eating, what would have been in the summertime, it would have been nectarines and peaches and apricots and oranges and, all the fruit. When I separated myself out from the tree fruit, I really felt delivered in terms of my sugar addiction. Now, whether that's made up in my head, what I believe, but what we believe to be true, I think is important to pay attention to. Whether it works for anybody else, I don't know. But I really felt like in the year 2024, I got to the point where the food doesn't draw me. In fact, we were given 2 big, beautiful samples of dried fruit for Christmas. Well, I took one, was so beautiful. It had mangoes on it. It was a big one. And I just took it to a potluck at AJ's in case anybody there wanted it. It's too concentrated for me. So, we can just give things away. In fact, we gave all our pomegranates away, and I've given away my walnuts, and I've given away, my pistachios, because I just don't need that much variety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and then the first few days I did eliminate peanuts. And I think last night I did have one, what I call a serving of it in the shell, unsalted. So I handle peanuts fine. I don't care if there's more healing properties of walnuts or all this other stuff. For me, I find the peanuts to be so satisfying, but I wouldn't recommend them for anybody who wants to lose weight because they are a protein source, but they're high in fat. So McDougall used to say, Dr. McDougall used to say, bless his rest his soul, I love you so much. He used to say, the fat we eat is the fat we wear. It's that simple. It's that simple. If you don't eat the fat, you'll lose the fat you're carrying around.
Yeah. And it's that's kind of, you have some basic rules that you kind of stick with, but you've still experimented with going against what those rules were just to
Yes,
see.
yes, I did because,
Yeah.
like I said, last year I really trimmed it down even more because Dr. McDougall used to say we're stargivores, we need starch. Well, I kept eating all my potatoes, sweet potatoes, little mini potatoes, gold potatoes, russet potatoes. I ate potatoes. I gave up the rice because I didn't need both starches.
Mm.
He never said you need both, and I like potatoes more than rice, so it made sense for me. And he said in his program, you can have up to 2 servings of fruit a day. He didn't even say we had to have fruit. You had to limit it to 2. He didn't say you had to have it, you see. So that was my rationalization for a while, leaving out the fruit. And then what else was there? And then, like I say, I was eating all the fruit of the vine that I had never considered to be fruit before, even pumpkin. And I eat the whole thing, and the seeds and all. In fact, recently I had a little squash. I don't know what it was, the acorn squash maybe. And I ate the skin and I ate the pumpkin and I ate the seeds raw inside. I've never done that. I've always taken them out and roasted them.
Mm.
But I thought, well, if this is nature's way of presenting them to us, why not try it? And I tried it and it was fine. And there's a lot of nutrients in seeds.
Yes. Yes.
So that's how I play with my food. I have fun. I just have fun. That's it. I just have fun.
Well, Esther, I am just blown away every time you come on. I just always enjoy all of the wisdom that you share with us, and the way that you try to share what you do without preaching to others that they have to do what you do. You don't want them to follow you, but you'd like them to follow you on Facebook, but
Well, only if they want to.
only if they
I
want
don't
to.
I don't make any money off of it. I just give because it's my way of paying this good news forward like you do. I
Yes.
I do it because I love to share, and for those who are ready to pick up the mantle and carry it forward, then that's multiplying my energy. It's like having little it's like having ripple effects go out. There's people that people will touch. They're in my group. If they get any inspiration from me and they pass it on to their friends, that's far more than I could ever do.
Mm,
you know
yes.
or
Yes.
like little atoms going out from the big, the ripple effects. And if anybody feels better or feels inspired or whatever, then that's a blessing. I get inspiration from people that I love and admire too. And we all go through valleys. Life isn't always at the top of the roller coaster, you
Mhm.
know. But I like what my daughter-in-law has said to me recently. There are good days and then there are challenging days.
Okay, that's
I
nice.
have better than
Yeah,
saying good and bad.
right.
So there's some days we just have to work harder.
Mhm. Well, wonderful information. I wanted to remind everybody again, and I'll be putting in the description, and you can go on my website, begreenwithamy.com, and you'll see it there. But Esther's got this wonderful book, and she's donated a copy so that it can be a part of our giveaway. And first, I want her to tell us about her Facebook group, and then we can maybe read an excerpt from the book.
Okay. Well, Esther's Nutritional Journey on Facebook was born out of someone telling me that I needed to create a group. So I resisted at first, thinking, why reinvent the wheel? But then I thought, well, okay, I'll listen. Listening is important these days. We need to listen to words that come to us. And so I started this group on Facebook, and of course, it's grown beautifully. I'm thankful for any way I can share my love of life with people. So it's on Facebook, Esther's Nutritional Journey, and I do ask 2 questions if you want to join. And you cannot invite somebody else to join unless they come on and answer the questions, because this isn't a recruiting thing. It's not that I want to get numbers or have a lot of people join. So if a person wants to join, they can answer the question, which is, how many of the documentaries have you watched, just to see where you are along your journey, and what are your goals or your aspirations, what do you want to learn. So if you answer those 2 questions, then when I am notified that someone wants to join, then I can approve your joining. So it's just very easy that way. And what I do is every day on Facebook, I I write a new word every morning before I get out of bed, and I post that on Facebook. And then I also post pictures of everything I eat, and I also do a video every day where I read that day's word from my book. I do that on Facebook. Now, that book came about because people in my group started saying, Esther, you should write a book. And I said, why should I write a book when I give you a page every day free? I mean, why would you want to pay for the book? And why should I have to go through the trouble of writing the book? And they said, oh, because we want it in our hands and la-di-da-di-da. So I said, okay. So I went ahead. And what I did is I recaptured all of the daily words that I wrote in 2019. And my book came out in 2020. So there are the postings for every day that I wrote in 2019, plus the addition of the story about how I met Ben in his donut shop. And that's basically it. And if you don't want the book and you want I also wrote a beginner's manual. It's not been published, but if you write to me um, or call me, it's better if you write to me, I guess, and request it free of charge, I will send you my copy of my beginner's manual, which is more of a how to get started. It's only about 4 pages long, but it's the kernels of what I learned at the beginning rather than just being my daily word of inspiration. So
I love it.
that's kind of it.
And this is what I love when people come on the broadcast when they're not trying to sell something or anything, that they just have found this way of life that it benefited them, and they really just want to spread the word to others. And it's just and my Green Warriors really do appreciate that too, because then we know where what place you're coming from, and it's
Yeah.
so important. So here's the book again. And do you have the copy in front of you that maybe you can pull
Yeah.
out our and
Mine
read
does.
us?
I used mine for 5 years now, and it's getting kind of, but I still love it because some people who have bought my book, I'll have them sign their name on the day of their birthday. You
Oh,
know, and so it's kind of fun. So then when I do my daily video, I say, oh, today's so and so's birthday, and I may not know them or
yeah.
remember having met them, but I'm gonna have to look because you told me your birthday. I'm gonna go. I see if I wrote your name in my book.
The 23rd.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that something? I love
Oh,
that. I love that. So you want
you
to
know
read
what?
that?
You know what it says?
But
Amy, I don't know how you say it, Tacitano,
yeah, yeah,
and then
very good. That's
I
impressive
have
because people
Be
put
Green
that.
with Amy. So I wrote your name in my book
Oh,
because I haven't met you in person yet.
I know. That's
Yes,
got to change.
yes, yes. I know it'd be wonderful. Okay, I'll just read your birthday then.
You want? It's up to you. I don't know what you thought you wanted to read. So
Well, I'm going to read my son's birthday.
read his birthday then.
Okay.
I think you probably read mine one time last year when you were on the show. I think you did that.
Yeah,
So
my son.
read
In
your
fact, in fact, he hasn't even signed my book. I wrote his name there, but he signed. I'll have, the next time I see him, I'll have to take it. Okay, the word for my son, and he is going through a difficult time, and the word is difficult. So this is interesting how things work out. There are people who appear to be difficult to get along with, and we often face challenges. We pass difficult tests and learn hard tasks. Our accomplishments are sweeter in direct correlation to the level of difficulty. Just because something is hard to do doesn't mean it isn't worth doing. Going whole food plant-based is hard. We are taking on the task of breaking long held and entrenched habits. We are bucking addictions and traditions. We are resisting foods which we are actually advised to eat by some doctors. We visit unfriendly restaurants and sometimes feel like we are from another planet. But joy comes when we advance and pass each test that comes along. The turning point is when we start to feel the benefits of eating this way. It is difficult to convince someone of how great they will feel before they get there. It has to come from experience, not suggestions. Drug pushers want prospective customers to just try it. Obtaining good health is a longer process. It requires many tries. There is no magic pill for a quick fix. It is a daily challenge with equally fantastic results.
Wow. And that was some of the things that we were talking about today. They're just, and each day you can either pick out the day of the year that you want to read for, or you can just kind of, sometimes I'll just flip through and just let fate lead me to that page. And it's always something that I need and I didn't know
Yeah.
that I needed. And it's a wonderful thing. And of course, people can go on your Facebook and they can see all these passages and hear you read them sometimes, or they can buy the book. But either way, they'll have that opportunity to have Esther in their lives, like I had today. And it's always a good day when Esther's in your life. And I really want to thank you, Esther, for sharing your wisdom and helping us break through the confusion to embrace a more joyful and empowering plant-based lifestyle. So
Thank you. It's always a pleasure and an honor to be with you, Amy. I love you.
I love you too. What's your final take-home message today for our Green Warriors, Esther?
Be strong, be green, and go with Amy. You didn't expect that, did you?
Oh, no, I didn't. And look, you get hearts. Thanks for sending you hearts. And Mona said, I love her Facebook page. So you have a lot of people that are sharing love in the comments today. And I wanted to ask the Green Warriors, tell us in the comments, what is one of your takeaways from today that you heard? And I had a few of them, and I liked them. And one of my takeaways was they aren't mistakes if they led us to a better pathway. I also liked you struggle as long as you dabble. And I liked it's so easy to violate ourselves to please someone else. So those are takeaways, and I had more, but I'm not going to put them all up here. But I'd like to encourage the Green Warriors. You can type in the takeaway that I did if you like, but I'd like you to share if you'd like to do that, so that other people who are stumbling across this broadcast in the future can see what we were all chatting about and what we all like to talk about today, because it's very powerful and very, very important. And I also wanted to thank Just Task Boys. She does the promos and she does the countdowns, and she's been so helpful in helping me get the word out about this lifestyle and about all the things that we talk about. And Just Task Boys, tell us who's coming up next.
Do you want to transform your health with delicious, culturally inspired, whole food plant-based recipes? Join Shada and Gustavo as they share their inspiring weight loss journeys and show you how to make flavorful plant-based dishes on Wednesday, January 15th, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, on Be Green with Amy Live.
Yeah, that's going to be great. I've had Shada on the show quite a few times, but I've not yet had Gustavo, so I'm really excited.
Oh,
They've teamed up together to write this wonderful book. It's called The Healthiest Life. And we're going to have a book giveaway for this one coming up soon. So Green Warriors, go to begreenwithamy.com and you're going to see a lot of these giveaways come up. Then you'll get notified about them so that you can have a chance to win. And I really want to thank you, Green Warrior, for joining us today. Your engagement and your support make these discussions meaningful and impactful. And I really hope that you're feeling inspired to take a closer look at your food choices and make some positive changes for your health and your well-being, because I mean, every bite we take, it's an opportunity to nourish our bodies and, like Esther, become the healthiest version of ourselves. So please stay tuned for more empowering content. Please subscribe to my channel. Check out Esther's channel on Facebook. And also share our message to others who you think you can benefit from them. And together as Green Warriors, we can really make a meaningful difference in the world. And as a special thank you to all of you, I would like to offer you 5 free recipes. Yay! So if you go to my website, begreenwithamy.com/join, I can send them to you, and some motivational pictures and quotes and things that resonate with me. And I just love to be in your inbox for just a few times and then I won't bother you anymore. But I just love to help inspire you whenever I can. And I'd like to invite all of you to join me and Esther, because we're going to give hugs, right? So
Right.
take your right hand and put it on your left shoulder and your left hand on your right and squeeze, because that's a hug from me to all of you Green Warriors and to you, Esther, because we all need hugs, right?
Right.
And if you would like to join me and Esther, you can type in my tagline in the comments, and Esther's going to help me say it, right, Esther?
Yes.
Okay. Well, until I see all of you again, remember, be strong, be well,
Oh, and
and
be
be
green.
free. Bye, Green Warrior. Bye, Esther. Thank you so, so much. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank
We'll
you very
see you soon.
Now you can get 5 free whole food plant-based SOS-free recipes from Be Green with Amy. Just click on the link in the show notes, and Amy will send you 5 free recipes, motivational quotes, and more, so you can be strong, be well, and be green.